I grew up on a farm. At least that's what I remember. The smell of hay in the summer, the sharp sting of cold air in the winter, the old red barn that leaned just a little too far to the east. My parents worked the land, my uncles drifted in and out, and cousins were everywhere, laughing, running through the fields, chasing each other until the light fell and the crickets took over. But when I try to picture it clearly, it doesn't sit right. Some faces blur. Some rooms in the house are gone when I reach for them in memory. At times, I can almost feel a second layer beneath it all, another version of my childhood that doesn't match the one I tell myself. My head aches when I think about it too long, as though something inside me is pushing back. One night, years ago, we were at the farmhouse with cousins. It was late, darker than usual, the kind of blackness that makes you feel like the sky swallowed the moon. We heard something outside, scratching, maybe footsteps. My uncle said it was nothing, probably a raccoon. But when we looked out the window, we saw shapes at the edge of the trees, tall, thin shapes standing too still. We locked the doors, but my cousin Anthony wanted to go check. He said, "They're just people, maybe hunters, don't freak out." But when he went outside, he didn't come back. I remember running after him, shouting his name, but then everything goes blank. The memory snaps in half like a film reel burning out. For years after, I told myself Anthony had left early, that my mind was playing tricks. But every time I saw him again in life, something felt off. Like his smile wasn't quite his, or his voice had an echo I couldn't place. And yet everyone else acted normal. I tried to bury it, tried to grow up, move on, but strange cracks kept opening in my life. I'd find myself staring at family photos where people seemed different than I remembered. Rooms in the house changed shape. My wife would say, "You're imagining things, you forget too much." And maybe I did. Then Derek, my son, started painting. He was young, maybe too young to paint the way he did. He would sit in the shed with a scrap of wood and brush, lost in concentration. I thought it was just kid stuff at first, dragons, monsters, weird landscapes. But then I saw one canvas that made my blood run cold. It was a field of enormous mushrooms, stretching under a sky with two suns. Strange houses lined the horizon, glowing faintly with blurred figures in the windows. "What is this, buddy?" I asked. "This is Zeus," he said. His voice was calm, almost detached. "Zeus? Like the god?" He shook his head. "No, the place. It's not far, not close either. You can't measure it the way you think," Uncle Zeke told me. I froze. Uncle Zeke. That name was a thorn in my memory, sharp and shifting. I had flashes of him, smiling, handing me candy, ruffling my hair, but also a void where he should have been. I didn't even know if he was real anymore. "Zeke's not here," I whispered. Derek just kept painting. "He visits, he tells me things about how everything's falling apart, how our world is breaking. We're all going backwards." I left the shed, stomach in knots. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing noises outside, not the usual creaks and groans of the house, but a faint humming, like electricity in the walls. When I looked out the window, I thought I saw 3 figures in the field. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, but something pulled me back to the farmhouse where it all started. I called Anthony. "We need to go back," I told him. "You're crazy," he said, but his voice cracked. After a pause, he added, "Fine, I'll come." We drove at night. The farmhouse looked smaller than I remembered, rotten and sagging. Shutters clung by rusted hinges. But inside it wasn't just decay, it was something else. The walls were lined with machines, towers of servers, lights blinking like eyes, cables slithered along the floor, pulsing faintly. The air vibrated with a low drone that shook my chest. "What the hell is this?" Anthony muttered. I didn't answer. I was already moving deeper into the humming dark. Stairs led down into the basement. Against every instinct, I followed them. There in the corner was Anthony, or what looked like him. His skin pale, his eyes glassy. Relief surged through me until he dropped to all fours and crawled toward me. "Anthony?" I whispered. He opened his mouth, but no words came, only a guttural hiss, broken and wrong, like a voice trying to form but failing. I stumbled back, heart slamming against my ribs. My eyes darted for an exit. A vent cover caught my eye. I tore it loose and dragged myself in, scraping my arms on the metal. Behind me, Anthony, or the thing wearing him, shrieked, a sound that didn't belong in this world. I crawled until I found open air gasping as I pulled myself out into the night. The farmhouse glowed faintly behind me, unnatural. And in the field, 3 figures stood, grey against the light. They were tall, impossibly thin, their movements too smooth. They didn't walk, they glided. The moment I looked at them, a pressure exploded in my skull. Voices tangled in my mind. We see you. We know you. We remember what you forgot. I clutched my head, but I couldn't block them out. One raised a hand, and I saw something taped to my car's window. I ripped it free. A note scrawled hastily. They were never there. Meet at the farmhouse. Zeke. My hands shook. Zeke, was he alive? Had he been with them all along? The voices pressed harder. Memories slipped through my fingers like sand. Childhood scenes unraveled, twisted, rewrote themselves. I wasn't sure what was real anymore. I ran. But the memories didn't stop. Later at home, Derek painted again. Zeus, he said. He wanted to go there. His brush carved alien skies and mushroom fields. His words weren't his own. Who told you this? I demanded. Uncle Zeke, he answered softly. Something in me snapped. I took Anthony back to the farmhouse. This time we found him. Zeke. He stood in the kitchen shadows, wearing a faded green tracksuit, his smile too casual. Uncle Zeke? I said, though it felt like poison. That's right, he chuckled. Old Uncle Zeke. Don't worry, they'll be back soon. Stay away from my son, I hissed. You mean Derek? His grin widened. You just met that kid last week. Rage boiled in me, but he slipped outside. I followed. The sky above shimmered, stars bending. A rectangle of blue light split open. From it, the grey men descended. They stood in a triangle, motionless, studying me. My body felt pinned, strings pulling tight. One stepped forward. Its glass-like skin shimmered. No sound came from its mouth, but my head filled with thought. We are not from the stars. We are from the cracks in your world. Images slammed into me. My childhood replayed over and over, each version slightly different. Different words, different faces. You're editing us, I whispered. The thought pressed back. Not editing. You are the archive. You are the fracture. Zeke's voice cut in, bitter. They're parasites. They don't preserve. They feed. Every memory you have is just another harvest. The farmhouse flickered like a projection. My knees buckled. The grey man raised a hand. Choose, stay and preserve, or leave and forget. Anthony grabbed my arm. Don't do it. We can walk away. But Derek's face filled my mind. His paintings, his whispers of Zeus. If I left, would he vanish? If I stayed, would I become nothing more than a story for them to consume? What happens if I leave? I croaked. Silence filled my skull. A void so complete it hollowed me. No Derek, no Anthony, no me. And if I stayed? Endless repetition, my life replayed forever, distorted, feeding them. The price was clear. Forget everything, or be devoured as an eternal story. I can't. My voice cracked, the ground shook, the choice was ripped from me. When it stopped, I was alone. The field stretched empty. No house, no family, just grass swaying in a wind I couldn't feel. I thought I had chosen to forget. But then I saw paint on my hand, blue and green, dried into my skin. Derek's paint. Memories bled through, contradictory, broken. Derek laughing, then gone. Anthony alive, then erased. Zeke warning me, then never existing. The grey voices lingered. You are the archive, the fracture, the keeper of what cannot be whole. I screamed, but the sound barely carried. At the horizon, a shape flickered, a barn or a house. In the window, a boy's silhouette painting. Derek. My heart lurched. But the sky dimmed. Stars blinked out, one by one, until only grey remained. And I understood. There would be no end. Only rewrites, only drafts. Still, I kept walking. Epilogue. I don't know how much time has passed. Maybe days, maybe years. Time doesn't move here. Derek still paints. I watch him from a distance. His canvases change every time I blink. Sometimes Zeus, sometimes our farmhouse, sometimes nothing but grey. Anthony's voice visits in dreams, begging me to come home, warning me to run. And Zeke drifts at the edges, sometimes brother, sometimes stranger, sometimes nothing at all. Maybe that's the truth. We are all masks, layers of stories, told and retold, feeding something we can't see. But if that's true, I have one comfort. The story isn't over. As long as I keep remembering, as long as I whisper into the silence, they don't win. So if you hear this, if you remember me, maybe I'm not gone. Maybe none of us are. Because the archive only lives as long as someone listens.